Welcome to the second Baz tutorial. Let's start by making exactly what we had in the last tutorial, which was a cycle tilde. Let's double click. Let's make an object by selecting an object from the palette, type in cycle tilde or start typing, select the one that says tilde or with the one with the tilde on the end, and if we have that selected we can just click in the blank space or hit return or enter to create the cycle tilde. Oh, last time I guess we had an argument of 440. We can put that in there again with a space in between, don't forget. So now we have a sine tone oscillator producing a sine tone at 440 Hertz. Last time we had a multiply tilde. If we want another new object, we can go back to the palette by double clicking, or another way is to hold down the Option key on a Mac or Alt on a PC and click and drag that cycle tilde, and you've got another one. That's basically a quick way of duplicating objects. If we then select it so everything turns, all the words turn blue, all the text turns blue, let's type in multiply. Again, it's the asterisk key, which is the Shift 8 if you like. We've got the one with the tilde on the end. I like that. So let's select the one with the tilde on the end. Again, we can click in the blank space to make it. Oh yeah, that's right. Last time we had a 0.3 after that, so let's put in the argument 0.3 in our multiply tilde to scale the oscillator by 0.3. Again, we mouse until we get a red circle on that cycle tilde and click and drag until we get a red circle on the left of that multiply, release, and lo and behold, our patch cord connects the cycle tilde with the multiply tilde. Now we're going to have something to play that with. Last time again we used this thing called Easy DAC. I'm a big fan of Easy, so let's select an Easy DAC and connect that up by mousing till we get a red circle, dragging till we get a red circle, release, mousing till we get the red circle, dragging and releasing, and we want to be able to hear this thing. Last time I instructed you to block the patcher window to be able to click on that. To make it make sound or to turn the whole DSP network on. This time let's just hold down the command key on the Mac or control key on the PC, and we'll notice we can turn that on and off without having to lock the patcher window. Alright, so let's just see what happens. We have this inlet. Let me move this so I can see it. This inlet, left inlet on the cycle tilde says it's a signal or a float for frequency. Let's start off by making an object that can produce a float. Alright, so double click there to bring up the palette, and we'll see we have two kinds of number boxes here. One's a number, one's a flow num. That's just a floating point number as opposed to an integer. So let's take a flow num and let's select one of those to make it, and let's take its left outlet and drag until we get a red circle on the left inlet of the cycle tilde. And you'll notice one difference is that this patch cord that we just made is solid black as opposed to the stripy, greeny black stuff that we have going on here. That's because this is going to be sending control data, as it would be called, which is opposed to signal data coming out these patch cords, which runs at the audio rate. This runs at whatever rate you choose it to run at. That's kind of a vague way of putting it. So let's lock this patcher window. Again, my favorite way is to hold down the command key on a Mac or control key on a PC and click in the blank space, and the patcher is locked. We can turn the DAC on, and then we can play around with this number box here to get different frequencies. You can click and drag up and down in the left side of the flow num to change it by larger amounts, and in the right side to change it by smaller amounts. Okay, so you have a kind of an idiot theremin thing going on here, I guess. Okay, that's really annoying. Okay, so first thing we're going to want to do to create some random frequencies, and this is our frequencies we were just controlling with the flow num there. We're going to use an object called random. Alright, so you make a new object with from the palette and type in random, yay. So there's a random right there, I'll have that. We also want an argument, so before releasing we can just click till we've got the blinking cursor at the right of the word random, and then we're going to type in a number, let's say 127, which is going to produce 127 different random numbers. or numbers in the range of 0 to 126. Since those numbers 0 to 126 are a bit too low really as frequency to be heard, especially if you're playing it through your internal speakers as I am, let's scale that through an object called M2F. So if I want to just duplicate this object, instead of going to the palette, I hold down the Option key on a Mac or Alt key on the PC while I click and drag the random. Now I have an exact copy of that. Click again so I get the words turning blue, the text turns blue, and I can type in something else. And that is going to be M2F. Again, we have two choices, one with a tilde at the end, one without. Since we're dealing with control data, we'll take the one without the squiggle being generally for objects that deal with audio data. Let's select that one. We can click in the blank space out here instead of hitting return to create or instantiate that M2F. That M2F stands for MIDI to frequency, which just converts MIDI numbers, which generally are in the range of 0 to 127 as note numbers, to a frequency, which will be good. So we'll take the outlet of our random, get the red circle, click, drag, get red circle, release. The M2F to the inlet of our number box by red circle, click, drag, release. And there we have our random going through an M2F to our number box, to our cycle tilde, to our multiply tilde, to the DAC. Awesome. To produce random numbers, to make this thing output random numbers, we can mouse over the inlet, the left inlet, sorry, and it says causes random number output. It doesn't say what causes random number output, but I happen to know what causes random number output, and that would be a bang. A bang is a different kind of data that we haven't really dealt with yet. And a way to produce a bang, if we double click again to bring up the palette, this thing called a button produces fine bangs, bangs of the finest order. We can select a button, and then we can take the outlet of that button, again scroll till we get red circle, click, drag, release when we get the red circle on the left of the left inlet of random. Now if we lock the patcher, which again if I hold the command key on a Mac or control key on a PC and click in the blank space, it's now locked. I can turn on my DAC again, and then if I hit this button, we'll notice we get random frequencies. That's wonderful. Some of those frequencies are pretty high, some of them are pretty low. Okay. So then we're going to want I decided anyway, I want something that's going to produce bangs at some kind of regular interval instead of having to use my button here, because I'm getting a little RSI going with these tutorials. So I'm going to use something called Metro. So if I want a Metro, let's just make one from the palette here, new object there, and type in Metro. Metro is short for metronome, and let's give it an argument while we still have a blinking cursor. Let's give it an argument of 100. And that means 100 in the Metro object means that it's going to output these bangs, and a bang is something generally that just causes output of an object, just as it does here with the random. And these bangs are going to come out of this Metro every 100 milliseconds. It says it output ticks of metronome, but it actually outputs bangs. So let's connect up this the outlet of this Metro to the inlet of this button here. We're going to want something to turn this metronome on. We'll see on the left inlet of the Metro it says start, stop metronome. What starts and stops it? Well, I can tell you. You can use a toggle to start and stop it. We'll double click to bring up the palette. There's a toggle, and we can connect that toggle up, the outlet of the toggle, to the inlet of the Metro. And now if we lock the patcher, again command or control click the blank space, turn on the DAC, turn on the Metro, and you get amazing. It's just like computer music of old, and that concludes the second tutorial. I hope you have a lot of fun listening to this. Yeah. You can show that to your mum and dad, like, look what I made. Yeah.